Where is our intro video? That's all I want to know. Look, it's not the normal two. It's not even the fact. This is how rare of a show it is. All right. I'm doing this show out of the back of a trunk. Eric Lindquist, as rare as that may be to you, Eric Lindquist is doing the show for the first time, I think, in what, like ever, in a hat. And oh, by the way, we have brought in the prop god himself, the man, DKDFS. So you want to talk about a trifecta of absurdity. We're here for you, man. What a beautiful program this is going to be for the next, I don't know, 55 or so plus before we hand things over to the NHL. But fellas, Eric, congratulations on you for landing DK, because Lord knows if it was me or the combination of us, it just took you. So thank you, DK, for being here.
No, what it took was I mean, there's no question that if you look at Twitter, you look at X, and you figure out who are the people who are for real and the people who aren't, DK is for real. And if you want any proof of it, all you have to do is go this morning. I have Discord notifications on for like a million different people within Tails, but there's something that happens when DK posts something from Underdog or PrizePicks. You know what happens? It gets nuclear bombed within 2 minutes, and there is no regard for humanity. I swear to God, I got those alerts this morning, and I was panic driven. And I imagine there are hundreds of people within his Discord that are doing the exact same thing, because these things move lightning fast. And in a market like preseason, where the Underdog caps you at $100 each player on any side of it, it is insanity. But DK, it's great to have you. I'm stoked to have you on a Pick'em show, because again, there's nobody moving lines like you right now.
Yeah, no, it's great to be on. Excited to do the show. But yeah, this morning was wild. When the Underdog and PrizePicks board dropped, I was literally moving like a million miles an hour. Just like all the props are set like way too low, and I was just basically nuked the board. So that was a wild morning. Got me, I'm wide awake now because of that. So yeah, ready to talk some props.
Is that stuff? No, you don't need coffee when the adrenaline is running like that, man. You don't need any drug, nothing like that, right? No powder injection, like nothing's going to match that sucker right there. I'm just curious, as somebody like yourself who just grinds NBA preseason down to such a profitable stone, forget rock, right? Like, is that something that usually happens deeper into it, or are you picking stuff up like that from day one in the NBA? Like, do things need to matriculate? Do things need to happen in order for you to recognize such a break in lines like that where you jumped on? Or was it just stuff like that can happen in the preseason anytime?
Yeah, there's a lot of bad lines, to be honest. Honestly, I'm just on Twitter 24/7, so you usually have a pretty good idea of like what the lines should be when they drop. And I felt like today, especially, the lines were set as if like most of these players were playing like 1.5 quarters. So they all just felt like, at least a few points too low. So it's not always like that, but usually you can pick off a few bad lines when the board drops, for sure.
And that being said, I think that this is what's fun about this Friday show too. I mean, we have props that have started to drop since Monday. Usually we start to see stuff matriculate in for Thursday Night Football. Tuesday or so, you start to see more lines introduced. Underdog generally ends up being the first one to throw them out there, but we have 3 different sites that we go between: PrizePicks, Underdog, and DraftKings Pick 6 here on this show. We generally spend about 15, 20 minutes on each one. But I just wanted to ask you, because we are all doing content. We're all betting ourselves. We bet a lot of different things across multiple sites. And it's trying to figure out Friday, when you're looking at an NFL board that is bet somewhat into place in certain spots, what is your main target when you're starting to look at Sunday? Like, what are the main pieces on whatever side it might be? Like, what are you paying attention to the most in the Football Association?
Yeah. So when I'm first taking a look at the board, usually my process is, well, first I'll go through snap counts from last week. So I want to get a good idea of what everyone played last week. And then kind of take a look at Twitter, look through beat writers, and then just look at lines in general and see okay, this feels a little high, this feels a little low. And then, kind of note those in my head, and then do a little bit more digging on each one of those to see if that's something I do want to play. So that's kind of my process when I'm first looking at the NFL board. Again, look at snap counts, look through Twitter a bit, and then look through the board and kind of pick off which lines I feel a little too high to too low, and then do a little bit more digging on that.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, with
Yeah,
that
man,
said, shall we dig in,
let's
gentlemen?
get into it. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm
Four
on the same
cards to
page with
build here
DK.
across the board.
Wait, what?
I said 3 cards, right? You just mentioned
Yeah,
it. 3 sites,
correct.
1 card each. So we
Correct.
got our work cut out. What did you think? I was going to add more work here for you? Your response was like, "What do you mean? 3 like 9 cards?" No, we're good.
What am I going to do with you sometimes? What am I actually going to do with you?
We're good. Only 3 cards today.
Mommy and daddy fighting at the kitchen table in front of their son.
No, I have enough sons to fight in front of.
All right. Well, let's
I don't need
party,
to bring
shall
my
we?
wife in here.
Because, I mean, this is the funniest part about whenever you log into PrizePicks and you see 70.2K people are taking more basically on Joe Mixon. Like, you can just basically just assume that it's a more. Like, that's kind of the way that I look at these boards right from the get-go here. But
if
I mean,
hit like the last like 4 or 5 games or something, they're going to be on the most popular tag.
Oh yeah,
like
sure.
It's almost like a guarantee.
Coming off the Joe Mixon nuke out of nowhere against New England, yeah, that'll definitely do it. Joe Mixon 1% owned in DFS. That was a spicy meatball if you got any of that. All right.
Well, you're trying to stay away from here, obviously, right?
Well,
You're just
I guess for me, I'm always talking about injuries. I'm always talking about change in role. I'm curious about Kareem Hunt this week. It's a terrible matchup, I think, going up against San Francisco, a team that overall continues to just impress me every single time out, even in some of these losses. I mean, they've had 2 historically bad losses. I mean, 95th, they were like 95% win percentages on multiple sites that I trust in game odds. And then they lost both of those, Arizona. And then, no, the Minnesota game, they just lost outright. It was the other one that they lost. But anywho, they have the number 2 ranked offense, the number 3 ranked defense in the National Football Association on PFF. And Kareem Hunt is at 52.5 rushing yards because of one good game. And we just watched everybody run over New Orleans the last 2 weeks. Andy Reid off of a bye is historically good, but do you think CEH has a chance to be active here? Because I'm definitely interested in Kareem Hunt unders for Sunday.
52.5 on the rushing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we see like the same kind of workload for him. I mean, for me, it would be more of like a full portfolio. And this is where, as you start to work through things and the public's betting a lot of these mores, I look at like 12 fantasy score. That is a hefty number, I think, for Kareem Hunt. If CEH ends up active, he practiced in full the last couple of days. They basically put him, he wasn't even that hurt. I think they were just basically putting him in bubble wrap in case something happened. And surely enough, Pacheco just goes, he breaks something and everything's problematic here at the running back position and the wide receiver position. I'm just kind of thinking that San Francisco rolls Kansas City, which might not be a popular take.
Yeah, no, I think the Kareem Hunt line is interesting. Again, the CH news is big, and I agree with you. I do think he plays. And I think that kind of adds just like uncertainty of what's going to happen in the Chiefs backfield. Because last week, Kareem Hunt was pretty clearly the running back 1. But you still got, P. Ryan there that'll mix in. And now with CEH there, it's just a little bit of unknown. So I do agree with you. It's also not the best spot of leaning the unders right now. Keep an eye on the CEH news, but I think if he does play, I do like the under there on Hunt.
Yeah. If we're adding to the card, I think you just had it there, right? The Russian receive or fantasy.
Yeah, I think it's one of the 2. It's one of the 2 for me. Yeah. I think fantasy, I think he ends up goal line back, which kind of makes it shitty for fantasy score, I suppose. But again,
Russian receiving, you're covered there at least.
Yeah, I think so. I go back and forth because again, Stokastic right now, we've got Kareem Hunt in. He's projecting for more on absolutely everything right now. But that's where the CEH news, I don't even think we don't even have Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the projections right now. And so, these are the kind of things that when you're doing this every single day, it's like context matters. And the projection is assuming no CEH right now. And I assume that he's going to be active. And so it just becomes like, man, I want to be early to the party on some of these unders. But that was kind of the first thing that caught my attention on the board this morning, and wanted to talk through that one because Kansas City, San Francisco, it's going to be a premier football game. I'm excited to watch it, but something tells me that it's not going to be the same Kareem Hunt that just ran for 102 yards against New Orleans. Because again, New Orleans just got, Sean Tucker was Jesus Christ reincarnated. It was absolutely absurd. I love money. What about rushing attempts? I don't hate the idea of rushing attempts either, but I'm a little bit worried that he'll still end up being like the majority back. And if this game script, like, I don't know, I'm going to
have a game script as a blowout or at least a convincing win, which, and in this
he's
case,
not going to run the ball a lot and it would look awesome. So, I mean, it's more of just like, yeah.
Well, he may if it's closeout territory. If you're fading his carries, is my point.
Right. That's true.
Right. So if you're looking at a closeout scenario here, look, we're still in October, man. This is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're far better than the majority of the league, and they can still get through without like tightening things up. They're survival mode without Pacheco. So you're getting in and out in a game, right, against the Niners. In this case, a quality out of conference win. If my point being is if you're up 13, 14, that range, I'm with you. I think that the other options would be in that regard. So look, we've got Kareem Hunt locked in here. DK, you've got any area you want to go? I've got some focus on my birds, but of course, man, we want to hear wherever you want to take us.
Yeah, so let's go. Let's talk about someone on Eric's team. Let's talk about Jordan Addison. I was looking at his props. I kind of like them. I don't think TJ Hawkinson's going to play from what I've seen on Twitter. I know there's a chance. But this game obviously is projected to be pretty high scoring. You got Addison out there like running 100% of the routes. So I'm liking his props. I think his receiving yards look good at this fantasy score as well. But that was just one that felt a little bit low to me. I straight bet that 47.5 a little bit earlier, but it's at 51.5 now. I still like it. So yeah, Addison, again, like assuming Hawkins doesn't play, and I don't think he plays, when Minnesota's throwing, it's going to Jefferson or it's going to Addison, right? So I just feel like that prop is a little bit low for Eric's boy.
Oh my God, your lips to God's ears, please. I'm completely with you here. I mean, coming off of the Jets, Green Bay too. I mean, he had some explosive plays, and then we just pumped the brakes, just ran Aaron Jones into the ground. That was sad, but I'm looking at Jordan Addison as definitely somebody that. I mean, he is just undervalued in the marketplace. I think week in, week out. I mean, I almost pulled the trigger pretty hard on him against the Jets, was happy to ease back on it. Just, working through the scenarios of that game being over in London. Sometimes you get some unpredictable stuff that happens. Like, I don't know, Dearness Johnson getting majority share of the carries in the second half instead of my boy Tank Bigsby. Still tilted about that. I want to tilt. That's why we really have DK on this show, so that I can tilt with somebody who can equally tilt with me. And actually, Shander's probably the best tilter of the three of us, if we're being honest.
just that though, in private.
Yeah,
in private, I am just I'm awful. Like
hey,
Eric,
I talk to Shander more than I talk to my wife, which is probably. I mean, there's something wrong there, but
I'm balanced. I'm like the betting George Costanza to your George to whatever Seinfeld. I'm like the balance to your life. You talk to me to just feel better about what you're doing, Eric. I think that's really what it's come down to.
It's more I'm looking for consent all the time. It's respectable.
Hey, I've been losing my mind on Twitter the last few days with preseason and coaches lying. So you want to see some tilts? Check it out over there, man.
It's great.
But Kyrie played so good; he didn't need to play the second half. I mean,
I could not stand it. Every beat writer said at least the third quarter, maybe play the fourth quarter, and then he only plays a half. And just like he's in, he's out, he's in. I'm like, what is going on?
At least he got a point on pick 6. That was the only line available on pick 6, so that kind of bailed me out. But my God, that was tilting.
Yeah,
those are hilarious to see, though, I will say. And then of course, everybody's flooding in like the equal pain that people are tailing because they know, right? Like you're going to hit these tickets. It's just the ones that you lose are through insanity. And I'm sure, right? Like it's same with Ben, Eric, where it's like the most ridiculous shit, I bet, DK, right? Where you're just on the side of something where forget about right or wrong side. It's just a matter of like, are you fucking kidding me? That is what it took in order for this ticket not to hit. Not like, it came up 3 yards short, but like, the guy lost his shoes and didn't come back in for like a quarter and a half. Some silly shit. I don't know. All right.
There's always wild stuff going on in the preseason. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. You are a brave man. Do you bet that at all, Lindy, too, or you just tail DK?
I tail DK. I've done a little bit of betting in previous years. I just don't have the bandwidth with MLB playoffs and NBA going, or with with NFL going on. So the two simultaneously. Can't wait to juggle NBA coming back in too, because you want to be early to the party in NBA before. Because I mean, we had stuff. Not Jaden Ivey, but who's the center? Detroit. Blanking on top of my head. The Memphis kid. Basically, he was like plus 250 to double on opening night last year. Like some of the most ridiculous stuff you will ever see in your entire life. It was absolutely insane. Who is the starting center, DK, from Detroit?
Duren.
Duren, yeah. Jaron Duren. He had the most ridiculous plus 250 opening night double last year. It was insanity. These are the kind of things you're going to run into on Tuesday and Wednesday. You want to be early to the party on guys that you are pretty convinced are going to play a lot more, get a lot more run than the public does. Anyway.
And I do have, we can go over it maybe later, but I do have a couple NBA plays I like to, maybe at the end or something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We'll leave some time for you. Absolutely.
Do you want to throw an NBA in for prize picks?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, why not, right?
Opening night action?
I mean, it's technically here's the thing. If we can get people to sign up for something that is through this show, and it doesn't matter, you can load your whole card up here, brother. So absolutely, man.
Now, did they take Josh Hart off the board, or is he still on there? Oh yeah, they might have just taken him off. I was looking at his PRA line. I don't see it on there anymore.
Yeah, they ripped it off. Okay, you are just killing this board. You are killing this board everywhere. I think it's
on Underdog, so we can do that after maybe.
I was going to take like unders on like 7.5 or 8.5 points, wherever it was for Josh Hart on opening night. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm still staring at. But yeah, the whole portfolio, I don't mind. Honestly, it's kind of like nerve-wracking thinking about doubles he's going to potentially put up from an assist rebounds standpoint. Like
that's just going to play every minute possible.
And he's going to have like these garbage pass-ups to Karl Anthony Towns at the top of the key, the best 3-point shooting big, according to Karl Anthony Towns in NBA history. So that's cool.
It's not Embiid, I can tell you that.
Anyway, we'll find Josh Hart. I think he'll probably be over on UD when we jump over there. But Eytan, you said you had an Eagle.
Just feel free though. By the way, DK, if you don't want to wait till the end, if you see anything like E just said on Underdog or Pick Six, throw whatever NBA you have. People are here for sure.
Okay.
Let's go to Saquon. Let's just see where the heaviness is on Saquon, right? Because so many, and just looking at it, I love this game from the standpoint of this is a rival game as is. You've got a guy coming back, the way in which things ended in New York. So forget about touchdown, forget about anything specific from a play. It's just like from the overall view, you know that this offense, as disheveled and as just broken as it's looked at times, is going to do everything they can to get him the football. So there are certain scenarios, right? Like this could be a 34-13 game. And I don't know if Saquon hits 100 yards, if he hits 90 yards on the ground so much. Like I'm trying to look at areas, right, where there's a spot, right? And I think it's the passing game. I really do. You don't have Dallas Goedert. No knock on Grant Calcaterra, unless he's even on the board here. You could start to target something like that. But maybe it's receiving yards, maybe it's receptions. But knowing that a lot of the plays, at least successful, that you see to AJ and Devontae are on the outside downfield, and there is going to be a need. We've already seen them try to get creative to get Barkley the ball in the air. I think that would be the look for me, and try to stay away from just the typical, he's going to pound the ball on the ground like he should. But I sat and told you plenty of times, Eric, how the Eagles have a great matchup on the ground and they go run the football, and then where the freak is Saquon Barkley because they're idiots. So that's where I was leaning, was receiving yards, or at least in the passing game, I should say, more so than just go head on in the rushing game.
I think having Neighbors back probably helps this game out a little bit.
Just better, otherwise it
helps it move a little bit. I mean, without Malik Neighbors, I know that we saw basically possession ball. We saw Darius Slayton go berserk against Seattle, but overall, Malik Neighbors is a dude. Like, he is an actual dude in the National Football League. And when you get somebody of his talent level back on the field, and then you have Wan'Dale Robinson, again, just straight out possession. He's like, I believe, the second or third most targeted wide receiver in the NFL so far through the first 6 weeks, which is just insane to say out loud, but it's true. And I got to think that having Saquon Barkley out there. I mean, whenever you're looking at these receiving yards props for running backs, I mean, 14.5 is obviously a very, very low number for somebody that we're projecting for nearly 2.5 catches. I think it's a revenge spot against the Giants. I don't really know how to be looking at that necessarily, but when we're seeing a lot of people here on the old rush yards, I think for me, I think that would be more of like a pick six play and like a correlated card potentially, where you were looking at getting the game to potentially go nuclear and having something worth Malik Neighbors attached to it. But I don't mind, 14.5 receiving yards if we're going to that. I just kind of think fantasy score. I mean, this is a guy who's going to be featured in a pretty heavy manner. Just nobody else can really rival him in terms of production outside of Derrick Henry this season. I mean, it's 1A, 1B between him and Saquon as far as like what their workloads are going to be. Kyron Williams, I'm a liar. Never mind.
Yeah. You are
running through the guys in my head. And Derrick Henry, I know I can't wait.
Henry doesn't have Nick Sirianni. That's the problem, is that Derrick Henry doesn't have a guy named Sirianni to just they've got this guy calling defensive plays now. You never know what's going to happen in Philadelphia. So look, no objections. That's fine. You want to leave it on there to spite me and come back next week and say
no. Honestly, I mean, DK figured out the show immediately. He threw a Minnesota Viking in a positive regard right from the get-go. I mean, we'll kick you out of here at this point. But no, Kareem Hunt, I'm going to be taking less on him in some capacity here. I think the rushing and receiving might end up being the way that I do end up firing it up here. Looking at the fantasy score, I'm a little bit worried that he does get goal line work, and so I'm probably going to be staring away from that one. But I do think San Francisco will probably put the hurt on Kansas City this weekend. What we saw from Juju Smith-Schuster and Kareem Hunt last week, or 2 weeks ago it is now, I mean, that was just absolutely absurd. That's not happening again. But we do want to add at least 2 more plays here to this, purely because you don't want to be playing 3 pickers on PrizePicks, only 5X. Whereas on Underdog, we're going to make 3, and that makes life easy.
DK, what do you think?
Yeah,
let's go to work here, man.
No, let's go to the Giants and go look at Theo Johnson receiving yards. So I know Malik Neighbors is expected back, but this is one that just feels a little bit low to me. So ran 32 of the 40 routes last week. He's got targeted 8 times in the last 2 games. And I think like the Eagles probably try to sell out to stop Neighbors. Johnson's out there a ton, should be good game script. So I think the correct line probably should be like 17, 18.5. So it just feels a little bit too low to me. So that's another over that I do like. I know it's kind of gross. It's Theo Johnson, but if you look at the routes that he's running and you think that, Giants are going to be playing from behind, I think we got a pretty good chance to hit this.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Also, how am I able to get a more on Derrick Henry with a green goblin and still get 10X? What is going on?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I am doing this. So there's been these weird glitchy things lately on PrizePicks. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but like sometimes the green goblin doesn't do the right thing in the 5-pick card. In a 6-pick card, it'll address it and it'll go below 20X. But let's attach Derrick Henry rushing and receiving touchdown to this, because apparently that's going to pay us out 10X. It's saying payout shift. That is not true. There is no payout shift at all. So that makes life easy.
There you go. All right, keep that one handy here. We'll move over to Underdog again. If you're
have
here,
a free $20 lineup to use. What a time to be alive. Go team.
There you go. It's in. So now you won't lose it. Now you won't mistakenly close that window. So we'll head on over to Underdog. Hit the thumbs up if you're here rolling with us live. If you're on Twitter following us, go on over to our YouTube page. Make sure you're subscribed there. Stokastic at DK DFS. Hold on. There we go. Let me get more of you over there. These overlays, they chop half the head off there, right? So we'll head to Underdog. And here we'll build a 3-leg card on Underdog. Nothing new. Same thing we'll do with Pick 6. Each and every week we kind of go through the strategy as far as the build is concerned. And look, he's showing you right there. We've got codes for everything below. So Lindy's showing you this is massive. Like all I'm doing is basically talking. I should be the one, because he's the technical, like he's the analyst, DK. So I should be the one that's doing all of this, but I'm just like,
I'm
some
so used to doing it though. Like
Sebastian.
I don't want to wait for your fat fingers to type in names that you don't
I'll
know.
do something stupid, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
see,
like I'm barely doing anything. And my point is that you're doing it all. And you're highlighting, of course, the boost, why you would want to sign up at Underdog. So just take advantage of these links below because you don't want to just sign up and not have anything, right? One of the best things you could take advantage of, maybe the best thing, is just introductory, free squares, stuff like that. It's really going to get you on your way. So you want to take advantage of that and just sign those links below or click on those links below. All right. Where do you want to begin here? London? Oh, okay. London was there. I was pretty shocked.
Tajay Spears just got ruled out this second, so that seems good. I know it's Buffalo, but I think we were kind of assuming Tajay Spears wasn't going to play for what it's worth. But
yeah.
I mean, this guy. I mean,
rush receiving, alt pushed it to 70.
Of course, he got in the box last week too. That just punched me in the face. But
I was so tilted about that because he was chalk, and it was like a 3rd and 20. And they ran a draw play to Pollard, and he scored.
Yep. It's an absolute tilt fest. I threw so many things because I had Joe Mixon. I mean, I had, a couple of lineups with Joe Mixon where I was just going to absolutely, you're going to bypass Pollard by 20. And all of a sudden, Pollard's there too. Great. Awesome. Feels great. But whatever. Tony Pollard, though, against Buffalo, this is a Tennessee team that, they should not be starting Levis at this point. Levis is not very good at football. But Mason Rudolph, I suppose, isn't exactly the guy you want behind him to potentially be playing. We've seen enough of him to know that that's not your long-term solution. I think Levis, you can look at his ceiling from an athletic perspective. I think it makes some sense potentially to just have him play. But Tony Pollard, he's way better than the Cowboys version of Tony Pollard that we saw at the very tail end of last year. Feels good to have Tony Pollard back in some capacity, even though it wasn't good from a DFS perspective for me last week. But Tajay Spears out. How much do they trust anybody behind there? McNichols is gone now. He's in Washington. I don't even know who the 3rd string running back is for Tennessee, and I do this for a living, so I have no clue what to say other than like Tony Pollard should play 80+% of snaps pretty much in all game scripts.
Yeah, I like that. I think he should be a bell cow today. My guess is probably Julius Chestnut, the backup, but I doubt he gets much work. He's someone that I played in preseason. He's an okay back, but I think they're going to lean on Pollard with Spears out. So I like that call.
Yeah.
2 TD bet on Chestnut. That's all I heard.
Well, I'm honestly, after we got the tickets voided on Frank Gore Jr., I feel good about it.
You got to do it. No, you're right. In fact, let me see what the number is. Give me a second. Let me go.
I can blame Greg now too if that doesn't work. If he plays a snap. So.
Oh no, this is the new move now.
That report killed me, by the way, because I was on what's his name, and then I swapped to Ty Johnson, the Bills running back. Ty Johnson's getting first team reps.
Yep.
Yep,
I jammed Ty Johnson and got completely punished for no reason. So it was cool. Fun sport, this football. But anyhow, anything on Underdog, and this is probably the spot that if we're going to be pulling out some NBA, NBA is going to be available here if you wanted to talk about your Josh Hart play.
Yeah, so Josh Hart, regular season opener, they got his line set right now at 21.5 PRA. So I like lower than 21.5 PRA for Josh Hart. And the reason is just like his role is completely different with this Knicks team this year as opposed to last year. There are multiple interviews already that he said like he's not looking for a shot offensively. So he's basically out there for defense. And if you take a look at preseason game logs so far for Josh Hart, played 3 games. Game 1, 15 minutes, 0 of 2 shooting. Game 2, 25 minutes, 0 of 2 shooting. Game 3, 25 minutes, 0 of 0 shooting. So he has got a total of 4 shots up in 3 games so far in the preseason. So yeah, I like the like lower than 21.5 PRA. Again, a lot of offense is just going to be coming from Brunson, and Cat is obviously a pretty high usage guy. You got Bridges there too. So that's a play that I like a good amount.
Love.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic. All right. So far we've got 2 plays here on the card. One more.
Yeah, we can also go up to 6.
5 or 6, technically, right?
We can push.
Yeah, let's see. let's see, because again, you're right. This would be the best place to land DK's NBA wisdom. So we can come back to that by all means. Let's go back to the NFL. By the way, Chestnut 950 is what I see. I can shop it, but the first buck I looked at here was 9. He's not on a 2 TD. I hate to burst your bubble there, Lindy, but I don't think we could bet him 2+ TDs at least. Let me check DK.
Well,
DraftKings.
have I ever bet a 2 TD in my life? No, I've never.
Me, you
never
have.
done that.
You did Bubba Means last night. You just didn't realize it.
Oh,
You were on that ticket.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate you. God,
Until
ruining my life. It's okay. I never in a million years. A one-way market.
Here we go.
Like less than 2 touchdowns. I mean, Derrick Henry probably will have something available for it, but I mean, come
70
on.
70-1. You want to split it? You want to split a ticket?
No,
$25.
I don't. No.
Why? But here's the thing. We have to check DraftKings rules, right? But if he doesn't play, it should be voided. Like there's no book that's going to take our money if this guy sits the bench and doesn't play, much like with Frank Gore, right?
I just want the 1 touchdown. The 1 touchdown.
We'll bet the 1 touchdown. Don't worry. I promise you.
Why are you so greedy all the time?
DK, can you judge this? All right. Is this greed or is this savvy? All right. And I will defer to your judgment.
Okay. The Tajay Spears touchdown?
No, the ridiculous Julius Chestnut.
Oh, the Julius Chestnut, yeah.
The Chestnut, like the strategy of if this dude doesn't play, it's going to be voided anyway. So why not take a shot?
Does he catch passes? That's the main question I have.
Yeah, he can. But like I don't think it'll avoid though, because he should be the backup, whereas like Gore was like the 3rd string technically. So I don't think he has a chance like DNP.
There you go. So the anytime at 950 is dead.
No, the anytime at 950 sounds better. Sounds way better.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'd like that a little bit.
That is why we have DK on. DK is, again, I don't know who Joey Chestnut is. I don't know.
Here you go. I got him at 1240. Do you want to split that ticket?
Love. Cool. Let's party.
DK, you want in on this?
Sure. Why not?
You want some of this milk?
It's probably at a book that you're already limited at, so you can put it down through me. All right.
Okay. By the way, this is not something we are talking prospectively about this. This is not. I don't condone multi-accounting. That is terrible.
$200 bet nets us $24.80.
Okay, cool. That's something we'll talk about after the show and see.
I'm just saying if we were,
if we were to. But anywho, let's continue on in the NFL street, shall we? Eytan, do you got something here on Underdog for us?
Yes. Let's look back, and I'm just looking at this Jets Steelers game because the expectation, right? Sorry.
Unreal. No, they maxed me out at 100 now, which is so tilting when you go up here and they still have it listed like max of $1,000 on WNBA only. Well, gee, thanks. I don't think I want to bet one WNBA game, one with $1,000 and not have that be the capper, but whatever. It is what it is.
That's fine, man. That's absolutely fine. The 2 games I guess you can go back on would be Tampa, and then the other one though that I was going to start with was the Steelers-Jets game. We certainly saw a difference, right, with the removal of a coach and duties of an offensive coordinator. I know you lose that game against are you going back to Theo here?
Yeah, I might as well just add him here too. 11.5.
That's fine with me. Yeah, 8.5 longest reception. No, absolutely. I think you're going to see in this game 2 things. One, the Jets offense, Rodgers, they looked as best as we've seen. And on the other side of this, with Russell Wilson and shocker, right? The reports coming out, right? It's not just one person who pushed for it. Now you're seeing people upset, issues, what have you. I wonder if there's a way, I was thinking about that, a way to kind of either jump on the Jets for knowing that you're going to get a good break in the first half, or even fade on the opposite side with a brand new quarterback who has been out, right? And now you either look at Russell Wilson or you can just look at individual play there. So Oh, you still have Otten and
I know.
Bateman.
I'm just doing something on the side here, checking on something myself.
Okay.
Russell Wilson. Yeah, but anyway, pulling up the Steelers Jets here.
No. It wouldn't be Wilson. I think it would be around him, depending on what you can get up there, right? Like, think about this. You could look at two things: the arrival of Davante Adams and how heavy that's going to push people there, and someone like Alan Lazard, who has been consistent with Aaron Rodgers, with Garrett Wilson and everybody else around him, and maybe take advantage of a Lazard pro prop, or look to fade somebody on the Steelers, knowing that you're expected to have a brand new quarterback that I would say, guessing 70% of that team is like, fuck this.
Yeah, the main thing I was seeing was just basically I didn't think that there were any props listed for it, purely because we just got word. Again, Underdog is the news source for most people, and they do a very, very good job of it. I think their board is going to basically kind of fall in line with a lot of the stuff that they post, such as Davante Adams going to be a full go, get a full workload against Pittsburgh. It's amazing how you can get cured just by traveling from Las Vegas to New York. You can magically get your hamstring healed. It's incredible. And so now they're going into they're going into Pittsburgh now. So I guess Pittsburgh is where the magical juice is. And Davante Adams is going to get a full workload. They're not going to give us any props. They're not going to get anything from a workload perspective.
Not from Adams, but I don't want to tell Adams, do you?
What?
I don't want anything to do with Adams himself, do you?
No, but I'm saying Alan Lazard, he only has this listed.
No, but there are others there. Okay, so let's look at others. Right, you're going to have, go back up. You're going to have Hall, and
Hall is the only one that you would potentially be shorting.
Okay.
And I get a little bit nervous because now, I mean, they're a fully operational.
I'm not sorting rushing yards.
Adams on one side, Garrett Wilson on another, and you had Breece Hall, who, just basically. He's been disappointing, I think, relative to expectations after a week one where he had all of the carries. But part of that is Braylon Allen's just kind of good. Like, Braylon Allen is a 20-year-old back who has juice. Like, I hate to say the eye test because that just sounds like a oh, look at me, I know ball. But like, Braylon Allen has juice when he's on the field. That touchdown that got called back, I mean, that was just like a smart run. Like, that was a hard 5 yards, box filled. And he just ran dudes down on the other side from Buffalo. It ends up getting called back. They have to kick the field goal. But, like, I'm really impressed by Braylon Allen. And, Breece Hall, I just get nervous, though, because just from a passing game perspective, like, he's going to be the more dynamic of the two there. And now with Davante, with Garrett Wilson, do they trust a rookie in pass pro for Aaron Rodgers, where this offensive line has been brutality? I don't think so. I think Breece Hall is probably going to play more, even though I just want to repeat, Braylon Allen is really, really good and should be getting rushing work. I just don't feel like shorting 61.5 here when we have him projected for 67. I mean, that's just getting a little bit thin. From
what do we have him projected receiving?
I will tell you here in a second.
There might be a little window to fade the rushing and receiving, but it's ballsy. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, look, it is a big number, and I'm not asking you to do this. Oh, look, so you can always open that up there, right? Like, receiving yards, 25.5.
Yeah. Again, this is the beauty of it, is that, like, we're doing what you should be doing at home to some extent. Is like, if you have a trusted projection source, if you are paying attention to news, like, talking through plays, looking at plays. Like, I think that's the fun part of doing this show is like every single day on Friday, I look forward to sitting down with Eytan, and now obviously having DK is way better, but
Absolutely.
Just saying, like, I look forward to being able to talk through stuff from a data perspective, and also just from like oh yeah, there is that piece of news. Like, Theo Johnson was not remotely on my board, but
no, that's like beautiful.
Kroll yesterday, like, I think Kroll was an absolute smash. I went 1-1. Don't talk to me about my lock. Alvin Kamara can die in a fire, but I'm quite positive that this is like the best way to go about building on pick'em sites, is like checking yourself over and over and over again.
Yeah, Kroll was one. I was all over Kroll too, but I'm mad I didn't bet his alt yards too, because his props were so low. It was 8.5 receiving yards and 1.5 receptions, like heavily juiced. Um,
145 on the over 1.5.
I was pretty mad. I bet both those, but I didn't take Alt, and I'm pretty mad that I didn't because like he's actually like a decent pass catching tight end. So I was kind of kicking myself for not doing that, especially with the amount of routes he ran last game too.
Let's pull up my pickup from yesterday. Lost 5, lost 5, lost 5, lost 10, lost 5. Where is that one that I had? Yeah, look at this massive ridiculousness. Oh, but Eric doesn't bet. It's fine. What are we doing here? Alvin Kamara, what are we even doing here? I took the Kroll and the Moreau with the 1.5s. There was a 31% profit boost for NFL Live up to $25. So I did that, obviously. And I bet him as soon as the game started. 319. Why didn't I just short Alvin Kamara in one of these damn cards? But whatever. I'm a fish. Don't mind me.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal, man.
And then, yes, all of your shit got juiced immediately. But hey, 20% Bruce. You have to add 20% to all of it.
I didn't do that. Yeah, I didn't do that to any of those. So I was trying to get it in too quick.
Oh, that's. I mean, better to get him in before the bumps than it is to have the 20% boost, I suppose.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go back, and I guess we can always add Theo and maybe get another NBA pick. We'll finish with an NFL play. We got some time here. What was your favorite clip about Davante Adams being magically healthy on Twitter? For me, DK, it was the one where the dog was on the beach and had the two back limp legs and was like crawling. And then like 3 seconds later, just like popped up and ran off. And it was like Davante Adams, like after arriving at the Jets facility.
There's a lot of funny stuff on Twitter. I mean, you got the popular one where the guy's in the wheelchair and then he rips off the cast or whatever and gets up. Like there was a lot of good stuff, but yeah, you kind of knew that was going to happen too when he got traded.
Love it.
He's going to play.
Love it, man. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? Lindy, I'm sure you put one out. I'm sure you tweeted one out.
No,
Davante
I didn't.
Adams after hearing the news.
You know, I do enough like quote tweeting of news and of events happening that sometimes there's just the ones that I should just stay away from, like the low hanging fruit. But it is what it is. We're not going to cover Quidditch.
Why does that get such a bad name? It's still fruit, right? Who cares if it's where it's hanging? Go ahead. NBA.
Yeah. I can talk some NBA. There's actually two props that I like that correlate together in Minnesota. So we talk about those.
You don't have to pander to Eric Lindquist, right, DK, and just constantly go Minnesota here.
I'm going to be going to that game too.
That's I get all Minnesota props.
I'm literally going to the game, which I can't wait for.
So what I like here, and I think it correlates well, is taking lower on Mike Conley PRA and higher on Dante DiVincenzo PRA. So Conley, the Timberwolves said like this year they're going to kind of ease back on his minutes. And they didn't really have like a high usage guard off the bench Minnesota last year, and now they do with DiVincenzo. So the lines are set for Conley as if like he had the same role as last year, and I think it's going to be a diminished role. Obviously, he's still going to start, but I think that the minutes will go down, and the minutes are going to go up for DiVincenzo. I think they have his PRA at 16.5. So that was one that I played that kind of correlates together, is taking more on DiVincenzo and lower on Conley. DiVincenzo, I think, is legit. I think he can play like 25, 30 minutes off the bench. He could close games too, for sure. And like I said, there's been multiple reports, and Conley even said himself this year, they're going to kind of ease back on his workload. So like that pairing together.
Little 20x action going this direction. Obviously, I think doing the flex is the better payout thing, the better EV way of doing it. But I love correlated cards like this. I do this with running backs a lot. With Dante DiVincenzo, Mike Conley, I think that obviously when you have the same role and you want to get production from the one guy, I mean, there's lots of scenarios they can share the floor together, but like Dante DiVincenzo is, I mean, I think he's the more valuable of the, like, I'm just so tilted that we ended up somehow taking in Julius Randle. Cause like, maybe I'm wrong, but like, it feels like such a weird chemistry spot to bring him in. Like Anthony Edwards, I got to think that we at least signed everything off that we were doing with him. Cause I mean, he's just our God, but we're just so attached to Rudy Gobert at this point in time. There's nothing we can do as the Timberwolves, but like just watch that play out, I suppose. But Julius Randle felt like we could have found something else other than him. But I'm actually excited about Dante DiVincenzo. I love him talking shit to Jalen Brunson's dad on the bench. That was so beautiful. I mean, I'm just so here for this guy. And It'll be fun to also not have him play 42 minutes a game because, Tibbs has no regard for humanity. Like, I'm really, really excited for this, but I love the correlated idea of that. People don't do that enough, but yeah, I think running backs, even in the NFL, like that's something that you should always be paying attention to, because if you get one part of it right, you're probably going to get two parts of it right a majority of the time.
Yeah, I agree with you on Randall too. I don't like the fit, but I think the DiVincenzo signing is great. So like that or like the trade, like I really like him as a player. So I think he's going to be like a big piece for Minnesota this year.
Yeah,
I live in Philly, and I got to be honest, like it doesn't matter who you are. A horse was celebrated from here just because like we've got nothing, right? So we have to celebrate anything. The Brunson family is like the only people that have ever been just like had this, because Rick, you mentioned Brunson's dad, right? Like he pulled Jalen from Temple to Nova, and now like both played the Knicks and everything like that. So that was like a citywide moment when Dante turned around and was talking shit to the Brunsons. It was great. It was fantastic. Whole Philly was behind Dante. It was great.
All right, boys. To pick six land we go. I'm going to fire that one in then as well. But we have an MLB board today. We have a WNBA board. We have a college football board today. I think Oregon plays tonight, actually, which is kind of exciting.
But you can go to that other one too if you want.
Yeah,
if you really want,
that'll be fun. And then, pick six. If you guys aren't signed up there, DK, do you have a code or anything that we can promote for you for pick six for Underdog for PrizePicks?
You should be. Hold on a second. You should also, and here's the thing. I'll pull it up because this is just a total rookie move by you altogether here. But we should have been promoting this man's Tails page. Just so you know that, right?
You're in charge of that stuff. I'm in charge of the pick'em board. Literally, I don't know what you do here. What are we doing?
I don't do anything. Honestly, I think two people said they couldn't do this show. So Greg Ehrenberg came to me and asked if I wanted to do this show, like co-host it with you, even though you would host it. And then I found out we didn't even have a producer. So I'm just here so that you don't have to do this alone, because if we keep asking DK to come back, he's going to invoice us. And rightfully so.
He should at this point, dealing with us. But anyway.
Here's the thing. Let's just do this real quick. Not real quick in the sense of like blow through it, but let me just move away what you had up there. DK DFS is on our Tails marketplace. You can see right there at the top. Over by portfolio as well. Tails is where you get all the picks. You can subscribe here. DK has a ton of different ways in which you can access his VIP packages. And of course, next step up here is to actually cook some tacos while he's cooking tacos. Like we really need to up this thing here, right? But you can see $30.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's the beauty of it. If you can't, right? Like we can.
I think that's the only time he cooks. That's the only time I would ever cook is like on PrizePicks. I'm useless in that department of my life.
Absolutely, but that would be great, man. Right?
We both have the same comfort foods. I appreciate that about DK.
Tacos?
Well. Oh, dude, no, just Chipotle. Just going straight to the bowl. Double chicken, double guac.
Or you have to do double chicken for sure.
Every time.
Make sure you head on over to Tails though, and you can do that right now. You can click a second link and sign up. $30 a month for DK, and you get access to tacos, to Chipotle bowls, to anything he's cooking, man. It'll be good.
Yeah, we're always cooking up props, so check it out.
Emacs in the house. You see this?
I did see Emac, and then the chat stopped.
He's still here. That message was like at 1:35, so he probably took 6 minutes and said, like, screw this shit.
Yeah, Lance Dunbars. I literally just made some tacos and eating them. That sounds lovely for you. I would very much like to have that be a part of it. So I'm Mickey in the chat earlier too. Tank Dell over 4.5 receptions. I don't know if I would want to be a part of that one right now. I think Green Bay, you're going to definitely still. I know they've been better on the ground, but I think Joe Mixon will do enough there. Stephon Diggs and Dell, I think they're about efficient at 5.5, 4.5. I mean, depends how much. I mean, Xavier Hutchinson, is he going to be on the field this much going forward? My Iowa State guy just starting to show up for Houston, wide receiver 3 playing over Mechie. But I think 4.5 is okay if you wanted to go for more, but not available on pick 6 here. But he had brought that up during Underdog, so I wanted to throw that out there.
I'm a big Hutchinson guy too, Eric. I think he's good. I think he's legit. So like he hasn't really had many opportunities, but like I think he's a really good receiver, and he actually ran a good amount of routes last week too. I was just looking at that.
I mean, the thing is, Noah Brown, I thought popped in a couple of games last year. I was surprised that they just cut him. And I mean, Xavier Hutchinson has a special place in my heart because some of those teams with Breece Hall at Iowa State, I mean, and Brock Purdy, it was just, those were such good times. And now we're a top 10 team again, which riddle me that, Batman. But
Give me 8
very
wins.
much
All I need.
Yeah, I like Xavier Hutchinson more than the average Bear, but yeah, it feels as though between him and a number of the other guys rotating in, and we're going to see eventually there's going to be that massive breakout spot for the passing game to go completely nuclear. I don't think Green Bay is going to be the spot, but we shall see. We shall see. Miami and Indy. Oh, what was it?
No, I was going to go to another game, but I'm curious to hear what you have to say on this Dolphins-Colts game, especially with the dumpster fire that is Miami's situation. So, listening.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's kind of a dumpster fire situation for both. This is my favorite thing to do on Pick Six. It is correlating entire games and playing. And now you can play up to 8, I believe. They just added 8 pick cards to Pick Six. Which is really, really fun when you get a guy like Anthony Richardson, who I don't know what to say. I mean, he's a running back. He's what people want to think Lamar Jackson is. Like, Lamar Jackson is very, very good. And I get, if you don't want to call him MVP for last year, we want to have that argument, whatever. But Lamar Jackson is great all the way around. I'm a big Lamar Jackson stan. I'm not an Anthony Richardson stan, and I want to be. He has one of the best deep balls that you will ever see in your entire life. That throw to Alec Pierce is just from week 1, just printed in my brain. But Anthony Richardson is not a very efficient thrower of the football. He's not very good in any capacity here. And we're going to see him, and I think this Indianapolis Colts side struggle. I like Miami a lot here on the road. I think that coming off of a bye, having an opportunity to regroup, getting Devon Achane back, this feels like a spot for me where we could see Indy not be able to move the ball as well as what they did with Joe Flacco at times. It didn't result in a lot of winning by any means because this defense is so brutal, but I think this is a spot where I kind of want to look at Achane overs and then correlate it with a bunch of lesses in the passing game. I just don't think they're going to be very efficient or very effective with Anthony Richardson out there. Maybe he needed to get healthy and get right. He's been dinged up for a while here. Then just kind of with the hip pointer thing, it then extended for 2 more weeks. But I don't find Downs and Pittman to be appealing at all. And Josh Downs was my highest owned player in all of DFS last week when Joe Flacco ended up being the surprise starter. But I'm not sure what you think, DK, about Indy going forward with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, no, I like the correlated call there. It's pretty rare in a spot where, like, when the backup plays, it's better for the receivers. And that's kind of how it's been with the Colts when Flacco is in. It's like you bump up Downs, you bump up Pittman. And now with Richardson expected back, I think it's a bit of a downgrade to those guys. I mean, especially Downs after a few good weeks, the props are up a bit. So I like the call there. I'm not totally sold on Richardson as a quarterback, as a passer at least. Still don't have a ton of faith. So yeah, I like that call.
Look, this is what I think you can do with Pittsburgh when those props come out, right? Is a similar approach because you're getting Russell Wilson back, and it's the same scenario where Justin Fields was technically the backup. He just had the benefit of starting the season and now thrust in there. So yeah, I'm all for this strategy here too, man. Load me up on the Colts on that side.
And Achane, I get 45.5. You can, this is where I just don't even give a shit about the box score. I mean, this is like as clear cut as it gets. Looking at the other sites, he was a little bit higher or not listed. And then you get 45.5 rushing yards. I have no qualms about his workload. I think he's going to be the bell cow for Miami. I mean, Mostert can get goal line work. That doesn't really matter when you're talking about between the tackles here. But rushing yards, I'm a pretty big fan of Devon Achane. Just as far as like his props go, from a DFS perspective, he's just too expensive still. So don't take that for gospel.
Yeah, that line feels low for Achane. I know he's been banged up a little bit, tough spots, but this is a much better spot for him. Looks like he'll be good to go too. So I like that call.
Yep. So that's one correlated game that I'm paying very, very close attention to. For now, I'm going to keep the Achane piece in, and then I'll have some different cards. But again, you can play so many different types of dimensions and correlated cards on Pick Six that you can't do at any other site. And again, when you're able to pinpoint some of these games, now you can play up to 8 guys. I mean, the payout potential on that. I went 7 of 8 on a card last week. The 8X paid 160X. It was just like I was like 4 rushing yards away from turning $5 into nearly $1,000. Like that would have been fantastic. Like Pick Six is phenomenal for allowing this kind of correlation.
Yeah, take advantage of it for sure. So I like that.
Any parting words here? We got to hand things over to the hockey guys. Much more important shit going on right now.
No, I mean, this is very, very important, but also hockey is really important for Fridays.
Yeah,
I can't imagine I'm going to let it go by without.
Real quick, E, because I know that you're out in Cali, but we are killing from a portfolio standpoint the NHL. So if anybody wants to head on over there, follow. All 3 of us are on there, right? You can get actual winning profitable stuff from DK and Eric, and then I've dropped my monthly price down to where nobody can call me out as a scammer because it's just too low. So we appreciate you all, as always, at DK_DFS, at Eric Lindquist, at Shander Bets. Let's see. We're back next Friday, man. Anything else? Take us out of here. DK, you want to share anything more? Like anything at all you're doing or want to promote beyond that?
Yeah, I mean, I make content over on YouTube, guys, for NFL, NBA. So definitely have some stuff for NBA opening night. Check me out on Tails as well, and nice. Then on Twitter. So yeah, appreciate you guys for having me on.
Eric?
Oh, I was going to pull something else up. Oh, you took advantage of that one. No, DK, thank you for kicking it with us. Obviously, he knows ball. He also knows data. And again, he is moving underdog lines like you would not believe in the preseason. Excited to see the NBA season start for real, where coaches lie a little bit less because they have to play good players lots of minutes. So that becomes more fun for me at times. But there's no doubt that there's a ton of money to be made still in the preseason tonight. So if you don't sign up for DK stuff, you're kind of doing it wrong. Check it out. And then Shander, he just continues to do the Lord's work out there in PA for me, for everybody. Keep it going, my dude.
We'll see. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.